The earth was perfectly made, and the universe was perfectly made so that life can exist. Therefore, God must exist, and God made it so that we can actually survive and thrive on earth. This is the fine-tuning argument, and it can be made a number of different ways, but that's the most common way. Another way is when people say there are like 200 constants that are imperative for life to exist as it is now for when the universe was created, that if they were changed by like 0.000000001, life couldn't exist, or at least life as we know it couldn't exist. And so they say, well, that points to a creator. A creator created it perfectly in order for us to live here. I have a lot of problems with the fine-tuning argument because, number one, it's brought up way too much. Number two, it's debunked every single time. Every single time that I've heard it brought up in like a debate or something along those lines, someone responds to it in a perfect way, oftentimes a different way, that works perfectly. It's the most recycled argument, but it's brought up numerous times, which is very annoying. Number three, if fine-tuning was an actual argument that had a true standing, it would actually be more evidence for the lack of a belief in a God than for a God. And number four, if fine-tuning was a legitimate argument, you would still have to prove that your God exists. That even if it was evidence, which it's not, but even if it was evidence for a creator, it's not at all evidence for your creator. As I'm most of the time, I hear this brought up by Christians, occasionally by Muslims. And they see this as, okay, well, it's immoral to not believe in our God because of the fine-tuning argument. Well, the fine-tuning argument, even though it's not a true argument, even if it was, it wouldn't be any more credible towards your religion as to any other religion that currently exists. So, to break it down, the friendly atheist, the atheist voice is another way, or his name is Hemant Mehta, made a perfect video a little while ago about this that he addresses it perfectly. He points out the flaws in this, but he does a really good job. And to those who want to hear an in-depth or a more in-depth breakdown of the fine-tuning argument, I would suggest checking that out. I believe it's also addressed in the God Delusion. I haven't read that part yet. If it is, and I actually don't have the book with me right now. My friend borrowed it, so I can't confirm that. But the fine-tuning argument, the reason why it is more of an argument, if it were a true argument, if it held any weight, why it's more of an argument towards an atheistic point of view over a theistic point of view is because if these gods that you believe in, the Christian God, the Islamic God, the Jewish God, if they are omnipotent, like you say, all-powerful, then they wouldn't need all these constants to be exactly perfect for life to exist. It wouldn't make sense that they would make this huge universe and this huge universe to watch over one specific race, care only about this one specific race on this tiny planet 14 billion years after the creation of this universe, 14.7 or 13.7, whatever it is. That's not even in the center of the universe, and he needs to create these constants for the universe to make sense, to work. And if he was all powerful, then he wouldn't need to. He would just create the Earth. Most likely, the Earth would be the center of the universe, and the constants wouldn't matter because he would just make it, God exists. I made this, so these constants are these constants. They exist in this fashion. You can't question it. So that's not proof. And the fact that it is perfectly in tune for our life to exist just goes to show that it shows that we adapted to live in this environment. If the Earth was slightly closer to the sun, I can't, say for certain, but we would probably have developed a higher resistance to heat, to the sun's rays, live with a little bit less water, like need less water, and vice versa, or the opposite, not vice versa, the opposite if we were to the Earth were to be slightly further away from the sun, we would probably develop to live in colder temperatures, and we would just adapt. It's adaptation. I guarantee that if we were to find a planet in the Goldilocks zone, but that's slightly closer to the sun, that happened to house some sort of alien life form, that it would be more adapted to hotter temperatures, and that if we moved it to the Earth, it would probably go extinct. And if we moved there, we would probably go extinct. I'm not saying that life exists out there. I think there probably does, but you never know. We don't have any conclusive proof of any, so I can't state anything there. So why is this argument brought up so much? That's what confuses me, because I've debunked it. Richard Dawkins has debunked it. Christopher Hitchens has debunked it. Sam Harris has debunked it. I cannot remember this one guy's name. This one other really good atheist debater. He debunked it in one of his debates. It's debunked in the God Delusion, I believe. It's just been debunked everywhere. And Christians still bring it up as if it's conclusive proof for their God. What you need to stop doing is, if you want to prove that your God exists, you can't try to prove that it's immoral to not believe in a God, especially when you're doing a generic position like a God exists instead of your God exists. In order to conclusively and strongly bring atheists to your position and people from other religions to your position, you need to provide conclusive, falsifiable, testable evidence for your God. Evidence that can be proven wrong. That's what falsifiable means. If the evidence can't be falsified, then it is highly illogical. It is an illogical argument if it can't be falsified. And so that's what you need to do. I see these Christians in all these debates, not just Christians, sorry, I don't mean to single out Christians, but Muslims and Jews as well, that make these arguments as if it's somehow an argument for their religion. It's not. It's an argument for, if it's not even an argument for any position, it's a failed argument that's been debunked numerous times, but even if it was an argument, it would be an argument for a neutral position. Then you would have the burden of proof of proving that your specific God exists and your religion got it right, especially with so many denominations of Christianity that state so many different things and say that each other are going to hell, each other are maybe not going to hell, it all depends, yada, 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 yada. Please move on from this fine-tuning argument. I really get sick of hearing it. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I watch debates. I've watched probably 30 or more debates on YouTube, some professional, some not so much. And I've gotten to the point where I just skip the Christian's arguments, the religious person's arguments, because they're so recycled. There's no point in listening to them because I've heard them debunked in the 30 plus debates I've heard. I've heard that same argument debunked probably 10 plus times. And then I just listen to the atheist arguments because then I can hear them debunk and I can be like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, they still made that argument, of course. And then I can hear them propose their arguments, some of which I've never heard before, and they're never debunked by the theists. At least the theists think they debunk it, but they don't. From a scientific standpoint, which is what is trying to be, viewed upon here, is the scientific standpoint. You need to prove scientifically that your God exists, not supernaturally, because you can't prove anything supernaturally. You need to scientifically prove that your God exists. Otherwise, there's no point in having this argument, and the debate is over because you're just believing in the supernatural. You're not providing any real-life proof for it, and you'll never convince a single atheist, at least not a real atheist, an atheist who doesn't believe for the right reasons is the best way to put it. Because like my friend was an atheist just simply because his parents pushed religion on him too hard. So it was kind of a rebellious phase, and then he became Christian. I don't consider that true because his parents really kind of forced him into being an atheist because they were just so annoying about religion. But it's annoying, and I really need to know if any Christians will ever even try to provide scientific, testable, falsifiable evidence or not, because there's no point in ever having any more debates, ever having any more conversations about it. Just there's no point in talking about it if they're not going to, because atheists want the burden of proof satisfied by religious people, the theists, and if they're not going to satisfy it the right way, there's no point in just talking about it. Just drop it and let's never discuss religion again. Let's let the closed-minded people believe in their fairy tales for the rest of their lives, and then let's let the scientists and the smart people, the progressives, continue the human race and progress the human race so that we can eventually, I don't know, be invincible or whatever. But let's just let that happen. Have a good day.